What's your name?
My name is Rachel Aslan Cohen.
What does the name Aslan mean?
It certainly must mean elevated statue or more elevated statue.
Very nice. Where were you born?
I was born in Cairo, Egypt, in the district of Abbasiyah. Later on, when I was 8 years old, my parents, my father, bought a villa in Heliopolis, Egypt. It's called Heliopolis, which means the Sun City, and it's also in Arabic, they say it's a New Cairo, but also it was located in an area that they had discovered an artesian well, and there was a Belgian baron, his name Baron Ampin, who found the well and decided to, around it, build a city, having enough water, enough sunshine. And he built, first of all, he built himself a beautiful palace that is still there. I saw it when I was there in 1985. And also he built some houses for renting to lots of people. Besides that, there was lots that were sold to individuals who wanted to build their own villa and live there.
What year were you born?
I was born in 1918.
And how old are you?
I am 94 plus years old.
What are your memories of the Karaite community of Egypt?
I will tell you, first of all, if I can, to talk about the naissance, which means the birth of the Karaite group. At the end of the 1st century, a rabbi named Anan el-Nasi was not happy with the people adding documents that they had written themselves that was not properly Torah. But he wanted only the purity of the Torah because it was a message from the Lord to his chosen people. So he decided to split from the whole other community. And he happened to be there, and the people, the Karaite grew up and grew bigger and larger and larger. In the 15th or 16th century, there was a kingdom in Central Europe, Hungary probably, and also Romania, that had a beautiful, a very smart king, intelligent. But unfortunately for him, there were always wars in his kingdom. There were Jewish people, there were Christian people, there were Muslim people, all the time fighting together. So he was unhappy, and he said, why don't we unite the religion and have only one, all of us, as long as we are serving the same God, and we are going to have unity. So he decided to interview, first of all, a priest of the church nearby, and the priest came and he talked to him. He was happy with what he said, but not quite. So he interviewed the sheikh of the close mosque, and the sheikh came and he asked them some questions, and finally he said, okay, we'll think about it. Finally, he called the Karaite rabbi, and he was really, really happy with what the rabbi told him, and he decided to move this way and convert himself to Karaism, and also ask all the people to do the same, as long as we are serving the same God. And he did it, and all the time there was peace. They were not fighting together anymore, and in his country there was peace. The peace lasted as long as he lived. When he died, the fighting started again, and the Jews, who had expanded in numbers so much in this country, were afraid for their security from the Muslim and the Christian. And the Christian church was kind of very strong at the time too. So they moved. Where did they go? They went north to Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, and they went east to Russia. They went to Turkey. They expanded to Spain. They expanded to Middle East, and also sometimes North Africa. And they grew, they were very numerous, very important, but some of them went also to Egypt. And that's why I'm going to tell you. At that time, Egypt was ruled by the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire was very favorable for the Karaite Jews. He had ministers, he had counselors, he had everything in his country, and except they were Muslim, but that didn't matter. He kept opening his country to people, mostly Jews and Karaites. So that's how the Karaites came to be in the Middle East and probably in Egypt too. Some of them were, some may be there already, but many more came in. Also the Rabbanites in Syria, and also the Karaite in Syria. It happened that in Syria there were again problems with the Muslims, and the Jews there decided to leave. Karaites and Rabbanites. You have among the Rabbanites that left, and they came with a Syrian background, were the Salem, the Harari, the Bresi, the Ades, which means lentils, and the Farhi, and many, many more. So they came to Egypt, and so did some Karaites in Syria too. Among them, they were all calling themselves Dimishk when they came. Dimishk means Damas. They came from Damas, and when they came to Egypt, they changed their name from, they stayed there for a while, but they changed their name to Owalia or Abdallah or something in that order, which means in Hebrew, slave of God. So they stayed there, and in 1875, the community, the Karaite community, decided to make a census of the population to know, maybe the purpose was to find out how many people can do the priesthood and attend to the prayers of Saturday prayers. The list is there in a paper that was found in a prayer book that was donated to Berkeley Museum. And a professor there, going through the book, found a copy of that census in some pages in the book. And that pages have been translated also, because it's all in Hebrew, in perfect Hebrew, beautifully made, that census, who related first of all who were the head of the community. The head of the community was the Aslan Cohen, to whom I belong. But among them there are 16 priests, according to them. 2 high rabbi, and most of them were, all of them were Aslan Cohen. I found my grandfather, my own first grandfather, in the list, because as usually, how can you find the name of the father of someone? The name of his firstborn is always according to the father. So my grandfather was named Eliyahu, Jacob, Aslan, Cohen. It's not, Cohen is not mentioned in it, but they knew they were the priests. The Aslan was their name, and the priest Cohen was added to every Aslan that was there. So I found out and also in the list, there were many, many different names, some of them coming from Syria, maybe some coming from Russia, but also later on, some people connected with them and came to join them after having gone somewhere like Russia or like just, okay, that's what I want. They came back to Cairo or to Istanbul, which was also under the Turkish kingdom, and Turkey was very favorable also, and there were lots of Jews and Karaites or Azabanites. So the story goes on that I asked my father. My father was named Yeshua, which means in Arabic Farag, if you want, and he was one of 4 boys and 2 sisters. My father grew up in this complex. He became an attorney, only pleading in French, because there were 2 kinds of tribunal in Egypt. One for the residents, the Muslim, that was a civic one, and one for those who did not have the Egyptian papers or Arabic papers. So he was pleading in French, while his brother, Yusuf, my uncle, he was pleading with the other kind of tribunal. And I asked him, where do we come from exactly? He said, I am sure we were in Romania, and when we came, we were all the family, 1 father and 6 boys, and we settled in Egypt a few years back. And all the names are listed in the booklet, and you can find them. I'm not trying. Among the people who were there, their names, many of those names were still here now, some in America, some in Israel. And they have followed the rights of the Karaite group.
What were your memories of the 1948 war?
1948, I was still, 1948 war, that's the peninsula?
Israel's independence war, 1948.
48, 1955. Well, give me a minute to remember. Oh, 1948 war, it was nothing because actually America was there sustaining the people who came from Germany to it was not much of a problem. It's later on that became, after that, from 1955 to 1961, since I was there. There was the Sinai War, and there was other wars. You remember when the French and the British came and bombarded the Suez Canal and sent their troop over there. It was difficult for us, but not so bad, because we were the upper class. We were not the lower class. It's true that the servants, some of the servants and some of the porters in the house were looking at us little differently. They were kind of blaming us for some people who did not come back. I was a teacher at the Lycée de Léopolis between 1955 until 1961. And there was a teacher, a woman, teacher in Arabic, who couldn't stand me. She would have killed me if she could have done it. And because her husband had gone to the Sinai war and he never came back. So I was responsible for that man, according, because I'm a Jewish. But later on, when her son came to be my student, she was all honey and nice.
What year did you leave Egypt?
I left Egypt in 1961, and I came to America in 1962, December. From February to December, I was in France. I stayed there because we had also French paper. Many of the people who were in Egypt had some kind of protectorate from France, who had consulates to Algeria and to Tunisia, and we had Tunisian French paper. We are some kind partly French, partly American, no, Egyptian.
What did you do in France?
I myself tried to improve my ability in designing clothes. My husband, who is a famous jeweler, was working with someone called Benoit Cohen, also a distant cousin with whom he had business in